Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Dave, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
One another. That's right. And
Well,
to avoid
don't make fun of my speech impediment.
Fuck. To
I'm
avoid
Australian.
to,
You deserve that.
to avoid any lazy negativity, we've decided to make this here episode a drinking game. Anytime we say anything negative about a film, you're going to hear that sound you just heard. We might as well
There it is again.
play it again for good measure. That sound means we said something negative. So to keep us on track, we got to take a drink.
So pour yourselves a glass, because I've been on vacation and I'm fucking trigger happy with the buzzer.
Good to hear. Dave has been away visiting his the motherland, visiting Australia
motherland.
for the first time in a
Yes.
number of years.
And I
for
came
3
back. I
weeks.
survived.
You made it back, a little jet lagged, I'm sure. We're going to talk a little bit more about your trip and all of the plane movies you saw, and just sort of like a potpourri of other content and recommendations in a mini episode that we're going to release this week. But to tease that, you watched a ton of movies. I saw that you typed Belfast, Lost City, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Resident Evil, Welcome to
Dude,
Raccoon
don't give
City.
away the episode.
All right, well, if people want
Spoilers.
to sing to, we're going to talk Severance. If people want to hear
It's what I watched on the plane.
and Gravity, how was it on the plane, and then all of these kind of things, we're going to rapid fire a lot of them in a mini episode that we'll release later this week. Please stay tuned for that. But let's just get into let's get into today. I just hit my microphone. So we are going to be talking about Crimes of the Future, the movie that begs the question: what is the strangest sex scene you've ever seen? This is a movie that says bodies in bedroom freezers, totally fine. Pain is virtually eliminated. Surgeries are so easy to do that they can be performed publicly. Sanitation is not a concern, and nobody cares about cleanliness. It's a little graphic. It's sort of horror. It's sort of melancholy. And Dave,
My finger was on the trigger there, man. You walked the line on that.
I thought you were hitting it, and I didn't.
No,
hear it.
none of what you said was wrong or negative. It was that's exactly what it is.
Well, I'm glad that you're back, Dave, because suiting to this movie, I know that you've said many times that you are not very good at the old sex.
Okay, that's crossing the line.
So it's good to have you back in the new modern future where surgery is sex, or is it sex is surgery? Is sex is surgery? No, surgery is the new sex, as said by Kristen Stewart's character in this film.
Who thought Kristen Stewart was going to play a weird character?
I felt the sarcasm
Negative if
in
it's
there.
true.
She's coming off her Oscar nomination for playing Princess Diana in Spencer. But if you've been following her career in the last 5 or 6 years, she's definitely been doing a lot of indie films, playing a lot of different types of characters. She actually replaced Natalie Portman in this movie here. So this is David Cronenberg.
Oh, that would have. I did not know that. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. This is David Cronenberg. This is his first movie that he's directed in 8 years, apart from a short film that he co-directed with his daughter, Kate Cronenberg, who is an up-and-coming filmmaker and has been a set photographer, a still photographer on sets for the past 20 years or so. David Cronenberg, of course, started out making short films and TV movies in the 60s and 70s. In that great period of filmmaking with, your Spielbergs and your Lucases and et cetera, in that time period. And then quickly got into the horror, bizarre stuff, I think most popularly in the 80s with The Fly, as well as, I always forget the name of that Jeremy Irons movie where he plays twins.
Yeah, I forgot that as well.
I have it in front of me and I still forgot it. Dead Ringers.
The Fly is like my go-to.
Yep. So this is his first film that he's written since 1999. He actually does have another movie called Crimes of the Future, which came out in 1970, which has nothing to do with this film. Completely different plot. This film was actually supposed to star Nicolas Cage in 2002 or so, and for a different title, completely different stuff. And then he shelved the script, and his producer said, "Hey, I think that movie that you wrote that script to, I think you should reread your own script." And David Cronenberg said, "Nah, I don't want to make movies anymore." He's 79, and the guy said, "I think that's actually more relevant today than it ever was." We're going to explain why in a little bit. But this is Crimes of the Future. This is his fourth movie with Viggo Mortensen in a leading role after Eastern Promises.
When you're onto something good.
I always fuck this up, and there's no reason for me to do that. Easter Promise. Help me
There
out.
is
What is
now.
it? A Dangerous Method, and
I haven't seen that one.
Easter Promise is a Dangerous Method, and A History of Violence, of course. So this is the fourth movie with Viggo and Léa Seydoux. Léa Seydoux and Viggo play sort of co-artists who live together, and there's definitely some speculation about their relationship, but there's definitely the heart between the two of them that pumps this movie. Léa Seydoux, this movie premiered at Cannes, and apparently Léa Seydoux has a movie at Cannes every year. I didn't know that, but this year she was crowned like the darling of Cannes because
She's like Jack Nicholson, who used to get the front row center seat at the Oscars every year. It's so just Leah gets a film every year at Cannes.
But they're like, he said, "I'll go anytime Billy Crystal hosts," and they said, "Good, he's going to host every year."
Yeah.
So anyway, that's your leading
Billy.
cast. There are other awesome actors as well. Bring back Billy. That's a shout out to our Everything Everywhere All at Once episode. A lot of things are streaming that we've done, so please check out our feed. Men is going to be streaming soon. The Northman is on Peacock. Fucking The Outfit, which we loved, is on Peacock. So check out that. And sorry, I'm yapping. Anything else? Anything Cronenberg? Anything big picture related before I get into the plot and we dive into this film?
No, let's do it. Let's. I will say though, I was impressed. AMC conveniently screened my film right next to the toilets. And as I walked up, I've seen the theater door and the toilets, and I'm like, how many people are they expecting to chunder during this? Because I'd heard it was graphic, and
God.
to be honest, there wasn't as much gore as I expected by a long shot.
You're right. We saw. I'm guessing you're talking about theater number 2 at AMC's Lincoln Square.
I was theater 11 in Times Square.
Oh, right. I forgot you do the Times Square screenings. Yeah, mine was also next to the bathroom, though.
Yeah.
It was actually so close to the bathroom. I haven't been that close to the bathroom ever, I don't think, at AMC.
So yeah, like this movie has a certain amount of legend associated with it. It's like it's Cronenberg. It must be like gore. There is nowhere near. This is very dialogue driven.
Yeah.
Rather than. Yeah.
There's some moments. Which we'll get to
there
in
are
a
some
second.
moments. There are some moments.
It's
Nothing I looked away. Nothing I was like. It's not like because like I sat all the way through this. I can't watch the Jackass movie the whole way through for fuck's sake. So
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, the Jackass. I mean, that is you watch these people and you go.
That's right. I just compared Cronenberg to Jackass.
It's hilarious. So we're gonna try to keep it spoiler free for a couple minutes, but this isn't one of those. I don't think this is gonna end up being one of our episodes where we really discuss the plot and story as much. Of course, we will a little bit, but definitely there's like a feel with this movie. There's a mood. There's tone. There's implications. There's a lot more.
There's a vibe. Yeah.
There's a vibe. Yeah. So I think that's probably going to be the bulk of our discussion. But we will.
That was
see
for the Australian listeners. That one.
The vibe. Yeah. So anyway, I'll read the plot description. We'll give you our initial takeaways, and then when we decide that it's time to get into some spoilers, we'll go ahead and spoil some things. But
and for that guy that left the comment on our YouTube, we're into the movie at 8 minutes this time, so we're doing better. We took the note.
Oh no! What movie was it?
I can't remember which one that was. I think it might have been Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And I said that. I said that at the beginning. I said we're going to be talking about the Oscars. If you don't give a shit about the Oscars, just skip ahead. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, so here's a little,
being helpful.
Here's a little plot summary for the David Cronenberg written and directed 2022 film Crimes of the Future, currently in limited release, but hopefully by the time you hear this episode, it will have gone national. Humans adapt to a synthetic environment with new transformations and mutations. With his partner Caprice, Saul Tenser, Viggo Mortensen, celebrity performance artist, publicly showcases the metamorphosis of his organs in avant-garde performances. Dave, we'll start with you. What are your initial takeaways of Crimes of the Future?
Until you leaned in, I had no idea how many P words were in that description.
There are, publicly performing with his partner.
I'm not depopping that. That's gone through. What did I think?
Yeah.
When we said we're doing this week, I was like, fuck me. I really don't want to go and see this. It's
just back from script.
It's like I've just come back from holiday. This came across in everything that was released described it as torture porn almost. So it was like, there's going to be surgeries on screen and there's all this stuff. Boy, was everything in me wrong.
Interesting.
I went into this in a terrible mood. I was like, all right, let's just get through this. I watched it just before I went to work this morning. So like I had a late call, luckily. So I snuck into the movies. My theater was very small and intimate. And there were maybe, I want to say 15 people in it. And the most amazing thing is this was not a Marvel movie. And every single person sat there and watched the credits and listened to the music at the end of it. So it was like everyone who was there was like hardcore there because they liked the films that Cronenberg makes, which are definitely unique.
Mm-hmm.
I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of like I was expecting, I'm waiting for it. And then when the first surgery happened, I was like, oh, that's not so bad. You know, it's like when you go to get a blood test and you get all freaked out and then they're like, oh, that's not so bad. And then you faint. But I didn't faint. Apparently a couple of people almost did at Cannes. But I actually found myself like enjoying this, and not just enjoying this, but being interested in where it was going next.
Yeah.
So but I will warn you, not everyone is going to respond to this film in a positive way. Some people are going to go in there and go, what is this piece of shit? Because they just, like, it's not for them. They don't get it. They have to, like, a lot of people like to go to the movies as an escape. And they don't want to think. They just want to sit down and pay their, like, $87 and
87.
just sit there and enjoy. Well, if you take a family, yeah.
That's true.
And just sit there and tune out for a minute and look at the pretty colors and get entertained. You are going to hate this. So this is not for you. This is for people who want to think about what they're watching, people who want to analyze what they're watching. If you like something that you can sink your teeth into and really think about, I feel like people are going to want to see this. Those people are going to want to see this.
Great. I love that. Really quick, the music is by Howard Shore, who has apparently done. He's apparently he's choreographed. He's apparently composed a lot of music with David Cronenberg. Because my first thought when I saw that in the credits, because I also stay for the credits, is, boy, Howard Shore has gotten weird since Lord of the Rings.
Did you at one point just close your eyes and listen to the music?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The
Me
music
too.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple.
I didn't fall asleep during the movie. I was just I was talking about during the credits.
That's hilarious. But during the movie, there were a couple times where I sort of like my mind just like wandered for a minute, but it didn't. I wasn't thinking about like, gee, did I leave the iron on? I was thinking, I don't know, like it did just sort of take me away.
It's sort of like, where is this going next? Like, this is a thinker. Like, they definitely do not spell out developments. You have to pay attention, otherwise you're going to miss so much stuff that when it finally gets to resolve, they don't resolve everything.
Yeah.
So it's your job to pay attention so that you can fill in the gaps of what they don't resolve. I found that was my experience.
This is another one of those films where I read a couple reviews before this, knowing that it wasn't going to change my opinion. Like, I did feel confident about that. Sometimes you read a review and you can't help yourself. Be like, yeah, fuck, I didn't think about that. Like, I knew that wasn't going to change for me. And it's abstract enough. This movie is, I don't even want to say stylized or stylistic or anything, because it's not horror, although David Cronenberg gets associated with horror a lot, but it's.
I mean, he does it well, yeah.
They always say he subverts the horror genre, and if you ask him, and I listened to an interview that he gave, he's like, I don't think about genre at all. Not for 1 second do I think about genre. So I guess that's a Cronenberg thing. That's a pretty easy way of subverting a genre, is you're not thinking about it at all, and then people go, "Whoa, that wasn't horror at all," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So anyway,
dude, I want to see a Cronenberg cyberpunk movie, to be honest.
Well, maybe he's back. He
I
wasn't going to make movies anymore. I feel like he'd
nail that. I'm calling it now. I want a Cronenberg cyberpunk movie.
I didn't know that he was offered Return of the Jedi. It was like right in his sweet spot. The Fly was 86, but he had like 4 movies between 79 and 81. Like really quick, bang, 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 bang.
He was offered it, and then he came in with his director's brief, and they're like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, they're like, he turned it down. It's like, yeah. Anyway, But back to this film, back to Crimes of the Future. I actually do agree with you. It's so bizarre, and the exposition was done in such an interesting way, in that it opens not with our main characters, but it opens with a crime of the future. Ha ha ha. Who would have thought? But apart from that, like the title, Crimes of the Future, it's not even something that I thought about during this movie. Maybe you go into this with expectations, because Crimes of the Future, like it almost sounds like Minority Report, like if you were to know nothing about the film, just by the title. And I mean, the crime was it was a strangulation or a suffocation. So not exactly like a futuristic
was that
crime.
The crime? Because several crimes happened throughout this.
There were definitely crimes, but there's just so much that's involved in this, and all of the metaphor and implications. This is near future.
My God, yeah.
this is dystopia. Cronenberg in his interview said global warming. I almost didn't even catch that, apart from just the natural, like, everything's brown and just all this like dystopian future stuff where it looks like everything's desolate, but technology exists.
It's almost like if you look at the phone she's holding, like in the first scene, this woman's holding a phone and it's an old brick phone.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like mankind abandoned technology and went backwards.
It's weird. Yeah.
I was like, that's a really good take on the future. Like there's the stuff that you're talking about, where when they cut to the shipyard scene, there's all these ships just beached and abandoned and stuff. Like that's like the production design in this is someone put fucking love into that.
Oh, but the whole entire every single room. Apparently, this is all done in Greece, and it was done in a kind of a single site. They did most of this filming. I don't know why Greece. Apparently, the Canadians are pissed that David Cronenberg doesn't film in Canada anymore or cast Canadians. But you know, what do you want?
Well, no, he did take some of their money.
He did.
So
hopefully they make it back. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, give Canada some money, people, by going and supporting David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. Anyway,
they're like, hey, you took our money. Sorry.
So there's so much to discuss. Inner beauty, what that means, evolution, technology, good or bad. This is, I saw in one review, I will point this out just because I think it verbalizes something I was thinking. Well, is I think I said this a second ago when I was talking about, it's not necessarily horror, but there's a melancholy to it. And I actually think that's part of the reason that it's digestible, is because it's not graphic to shock. There's this sort of softness to this.
It's an intimacy. It's like, again, they make the cutting just a little bit sexual.
And another thing that this is actually in the New York Times, I give them credit, which was it feels like a requiem. It feels like, and maybe there's metaphor to that. I know there's a whole autopsy thing that we'll get to in a second, but maybe this is an autopsy of us, like as a requiem. I don't know. There's just a lot of things to unpack.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things I liked, I don't know if I liked it. I'm still thinking about it. And that's, I guess, that mission accomplished for that. But there were a lot of reveals that moved the plot along that seemed to have no setup or foreshadowing. Like something was just revealed. Yeah. And some of them seemed to move a different plot thread than the scene started with. So the scene is going down one way and suddenly something's revealed that affects another thread 2 scenes ago. And I can't figure out whether that was sloppy or genius.
I'm going to guess genius. I think sometimes
I think so, yeah.
Sometimes we talked about this with both the
Northmen. I'm still thinking about it.
We talked about this with the Northmen. You weren't around for our Men episode because you were abroad. But like sometimes when you're in the hands of masters, if they don't succeed to your sensibilities, fine. But they don't blow their shot. I don't mean to make a sexual reference there because it's weird surgery. But anyway, like they don't rush to market. This movie is David Cronenberg's 50th movie, and it took him 3 years to get money, and he wrote the script originally in 2000. So there's no stone unturned in this, so like this is the movie that he wanted to make, and it was all intentional. If it doesn't click with you, that's fine. But there are so many things like that where things start unpacking and unraveling. The beauty pageant thing, I was like, I thought I was going to get worried about that. But I just, for some reason, didn't even think about the fact that like Kristen Stewart's character is technically a part of the government, because this is so dystopian that the Office of Organ Transplants. Shit, would you remember the name of the
organ
office?
Registration.
Yeah, you had to register your new organs because people are developing new organs. In fact, Viggo Mortensen is like famous for developing new organs and having them removed in public, as in a public surgery, just like the old days. There's very like future and meets past. Like in the past with the old surgeries.
I feel like Casio could get a sponsorship deal on this.
Yeah, but like the way that you used to watch
that was bad. That was so bad.
The way that you used to watch, the doctors would watch surgeries because they didn't film anything, 100 years ago. That's almost the look of this, even though these surgeries are happening in the future. It looks very, past tense in a way with that. So anyway, long story short, I didn't even know that they were in the government. So all of a sudden these things are unraveling, and halfway through the movie, I'm like, holy shit, there's government conspiracy going on and the cops aren't part of it. And like,
that's the thing. There's 3 story threads in this. There's like his story thread, and then there's the government department story thread, and then there's the chair repairman, because he has pain at night and has to sleep in this special chair to compensate for his pain. And there's this company that makes these chairs and that compensate for the pain while you're sleeping, because most humans don't feel pain at all, but he feels it at night for some reason, and he feels it when he's eating. And so he has 2 special devices to compensate for that. It's a very interesting universe that he built.
So before we completely unpack it, because we're still
Mm.
technically not in the spoiler section,
We're not in the
believe it or not.
spoilers. No?
But do you think, because he's not the only character in this film that we see needing help to digest, meaning there's a chair that literally takes their torso and wiggles it around to like help the food go down. And Viggo obviously has the throat thing going on, so you can see that there's been surgery, there's been some kind of trauma, even though they don't really feel pain. That's why they can just have surgery. They don't even need anesthesia. They just cut themselves open. And there's no, they mention this, there's no infections. So that's why they don't need sanitation. They can just cut somebody open right in the middle of the public.
And they
people
do.
can be like, and people can be sneezing and barfing or whatever on the back. Actually, nobody barfs because they're all so used to this.
Yeah.
But
In fact, they're all standing around filming it. That's not even a spoiler.
the reason that I like these kinds of movies, and they're happening, I think they're happening more and more. Maybe it's just that we keep being drawn to them, but they aren't meant to be structured in the classical sense. So John and I talked about Top Gun, which Top Gun was a perfectly structured. Yes, I use the word perfectly structured. It's a very good movie. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Dave.
Not yet.
It's a perfectly structured summer blockbuster movie. It has not that there's only one way to do that, but it has answers, it has multiple storylines and subplots, and it has heart, and it has action. That's much, all the usual stuff that you would need. In this kind of movie, the implications of what humans have done to ourselves to compensate for pain, what ends up happening is we eliminate pain, aka we eliminate that aspect of humanity.
It's
and
the
we
ultimate
evolve past that.
compartmentalization.
Yeah, so it's
You
basically
just
like
shut it off.
we go from Advil to opium to whatever, to plastics to synthetics, and then all of a sudden we've shut off part of which makes us human for the sake of feeling safe, secure, healthy, whatever. And they don't need to beat that on the head. They can just sort of let us think about that. And if you don't want to think about that, then maybe you won't like this movie that much.
They do even briefly mention that like pain is the instinct that helps you feel safe. Like it keeps you safe.
Mm-hmm. I forget which character says that actually.
I think it was Viggo.
Yes, and I'll reiterate, I said this a second ago, but what's really important about this bleak, melancholy future is that what really is at the center of this movie is this heartbeat that's really shared between Léa Seydoux and Viggo Mortensen, to the point where they're having very banal conversations, but there's like tears in their eyes. Like there's some weird connection they have to each other, where it's almost like the last bastion of human connection is that innate like gravitational pull between people, whether they're in love, whether it's sexual. I don't know what their relationship is. And I saw this movie, but like there's something about that basically, not to jump ahead too much to what happens near the end, but it's okay to evolve, because that will go with you almost. You know what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? I'm totally speculating because I don't have any answers.
I don't know. If this is an example of where humanity's heading, I'm out.
Well, yeah. And this is not... I should buzz you, but fuck, man,
I mean,
that is
but no. I mean that as in this is a cautionary tale almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
we've been using satire, the word a lot on this episode on the show. This is not a satire. This really is just like
if anything, it's black satire.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Like dark satire.
And I agree with you about the graphic thing. First of all, the Léa Seydoux, like the one time that it really is very sexual and there's nudity, it's probably prosthetic, but it is. There's something about the way they film it. Even like the blocking of these scenes. It's so. It's like the playbook is thrown out, But for some reason, it's consistent throughout the film in such a way that's like, it works.
I feel like it was like a lot of it was mostly prosthetic because there was a prosthetics visual effects company listed, and then there was one other visual effects company listed. So it was, I feel like they were just there for the lasers and shit like that, and the scene extensions, set extensions, and stuff like that. Because I feel like a lot of this was practical.
Well, you've made movies.
I don't know for sure yet, but yeah.
Cronenberg said that there is CG in this movie and there's puppetry. So maybe some of it is.
I mean, the arms with the knives were definitely puppetry.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the organs are. I don't know if they green screen CG or if that was puppetry or if that was prosthetics or whatever.
If that was CG, I need to learn how to do that because that was squishy and shiny like I've never seen before. So like if CG did that, they nailed it. Probably
not, but isn't that the classic thing, right? Like with these kind of movies where you put like a green belly and then I don't know. You would know better than me.
I don't know. I feel like that was most likely more practical. I've been in a play that did that live. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is possible, very, very possible to do that practically. Should we turn the spoiler alert on?
Yeah, well, the last thing I'll say is just there is a little plot, which is this boy is killed, and there's a confession that it was done by the parent, and you do see this crime early on in the movie, and that it's hard to watch, but luckily it sets the actually him eating the pail is even harder to watch for me.
That was terrifying.
I was really like, it really gets off to a strange start, but really,
I was like, if this is the first 5 minutes, where are they going from it? But luckily, they keep it consistent. Like,
and the kids, and it's really opens with a kid playing with rocks outside with a ship that is overturned. So I was like, is this a shipwreck? Like, what the fuck happens? Is it just
the
pure
thing
metaphor?
And we're looking on a cruise ship. The first thing I noticed, all of the lifeboats are still on it. So nobody escaped that ship. It went down and everyone died. Like the lifeboats are still in place, hanging on the side of the ship.
That is detail. Also, it's very close to shore. So anyway, wow, shit, that is detail.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the mom murders the son because he Oh, it's not whatever.
We're in spoilers. We're in spoilers.
But anyway, it should be. It's good to know that there is some plot that Viggo and
there's absolutely a plot.
Léa Seydoux gets into it.
It's almost like playing a game of when are they going to get back to that, because everything that happens has a reason.
Yeah.
Like that does move the plot forward, or one of the three plots that kind of happen throughout this. But it's not always the plot you think is moving forward, and they do come together and explain it all at the end. But sometimes it's a little bit of a find the Red Queen game where they're switching the plot around. It's like, this is happening, but it's advancing this plot over here. And that's the part of that I was like, is that shoddy or is that genius? And you're right. It's fucking genius.
I think it has to be. Well, let's go ahead and turn the spoiler.
We're going to spoilers. Everybody get off the treadmills and find this wherever it's screening.
That's for the shade at my dad. Who will not be listening to this episode because I doubt he'll see this movie anytime soon.
Oh, he might listen to it anyway. I don't think he'll go and see the movie, but he might listen to it.
We'll see if he makes it. Dad, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so spoiler section.
I've been away for a couple of weeks. I had to give him some shade.
Yeah, Dad's been off the hook. Okay. Where should we go from here? Should we go? Do you want to get to the ending? Do you want to unpack some more of those plot details that you talked about? Do you want to talk more about these themes, the inner beauty, the sex surgery stuff?
You've got three main plot lines that move through this. There's the kid that's murdered at the beginning, who comes back into the storyline, and then there's
the autopsy,
there's like Viggo's transition, like his moving forward to, like, you find out that he's an undercover for the cops, which is almost a separate plot in itself, but that's his storyline.
Did they announce that, or do we just imply that by him being like an informant that would meet up?
No, he actually says they have a whole discussion about undercover at that the first shipyard scene.
It was the first one, okay.
But it's revealed just out of the blue, and it's like, because she says something to him about, like, he asks him all those questions about, does she know that he's undercover? Mm-hmm. Which leads obviously to the conclusion of the film. But then there's the side story of the people who have mutated to become plastic eaters, and they eat the plastic waste. And immediately this strikes me as, oh my God, that's a perfect solution to every problem we have ever right now. And it's a natural point of evolution, but that's counterpoint to his undercover thing where he's trying to stop them because the plastic eaters are unnatural and the plastic eaters are something different. Does this sound familiar to anyone?
Yes. Was that was that the third plot?
Kind of, yeah. The plastic eater thing is the third plot and it all comes together at the end, and it does all come together at the end. So like they don't leave any threads hanging.
So according to Cronenberg in his interview that I listened to, the microplastics element and global warming were like the first two major themes that this producer was like, this is why it's so relevant, because not only does the character, the father of the son, I forget all their names, they have weird names. The father of the son said, he said, why the fuck can't I think of what he said? He said that this is the answer to evolution, that humans have to evolve with technology if we don't want to become obsolete. But at the same time, it's also an answer to our waste problem.
Do you think they were taking a shot at governments that are basically writing policy of some technology is going to come along that's going to fix this and just kicking the can down the road? Do you think that was a shot at that? Because that's what we're doing. Obviously, it's like it's like there's going to be some technology that'll fix the problem before we get to the danger zone, not realizing we've already kind of slipped into it.
Shot at government's interesting. One thing that is noticeable is that there are no corporations at all that they mention.
Or did I just write my own agenda into the film?
No, because what I would say is what I read into it wasn't a shot at government necessarily, but it was more so like humans are going to suffer the consequences of government action. I don't even know if governments exist in this, even though we know that there's the Office of the Organ Registration and with our police, and he's undercover, but like we don't really see them. We don't see a police presence on the street. You know, the police dress in normal clothes. Like,
we just see that one detective. Yeah.
That's it. So I just kind of saw it as like, we have to be the answer to our own problems that we created. And we have to do it on our own, which is why these plastic eaters they're like, we're the only ones that are going to survive. We're the only ones that are going to evolve. And the fact that this boy did, even though he was kind of a freak, it was also a miracle, because that is the future. If you can eat a plastic pail or eat all of the fucking plastic off the coast of California, you're probably going to have a better 200
big plastic
years
thing the size of Texas in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly. So that's what I was saying. So anyway, again, back to like what I was saying before about this movie. If you think the plot's a little thin, or if you think the metaphor is too on the nose, that's what this movie's doing. It's really introducing all of these things in a very artistic way. I even love the artistic implications of like the guy with the ears. It's like, well, that's just for show because the ears don't work. We want art like what Viggo has, where that's like a real organ that was produced that might even have a function someday. It might produce new hormones. And it's like, that is special because it's practical and it serves a purpose. This whole idea of everything has to have a purpose and meaning, you know, it's like, oh my god,
there's so much that's left to interpretation in this movie. And like, I mean, I'm sure there's interviews where he tells you what he meant.
I don't think he will.
There is,
I really don't think he will.
That is so true.
Not specifically. I'm sure he'll sit there and say,
I
like,
love that.
yeah, global warming is real and microplastics is something I didn't think I'm glad that people understand that it's a problem. And I hope they don't think that this is the future.
I mean, considering we're full of microplastics now, are those guys going to start eating people?
Well, that's the thing too, is that like all these questions, I think I'm glad
because they make a reference to cannibals at some point.
There are cannibals. Well, that's what they think the plastic eaters are, but actually they're. But would they eat humans if humans become plastic? I don't know, man. Like,
oh my god! There's so many like possible horrendous futures predicted.
Why is it that the dad of the son can't clean his apartment, but he has a freezer that can house a body? Like, the money he spent on that, he could have spent on a maid. You know what I mean? Like, why does he have this freezer? Technology is so strange in the future. Everything looks like shit in this. It looks like Seven. You know, or something weird like that. Like,
it kind of like, well, that's the thing. The like the exterior sets look usually fantastical and run down. It's like the technology that man's abandoned, and then you got those smaller, rundown, intimate set pieces that kind of look like all the interiors from Blade Runner.
Interesting, very interesting.
Like the paint's peeling, nothing's been maintained.
Nothing's been maintained. No.
Yeah. Mankind has just given up on aesthetics at this point.
Well, speaking of mankind giving up on aesthetics, what do you think about the anthropomorphic nature of technology? A lot of the technology.
Okay, that's fair. I used a big word. You should too.
I didn't know how else to say it, so I was like, what else am I gonna say? But anthropomorphic meaning like everything's animalistic. Like surgery is, and also not only is it animalistic, it's not the animals that we tend to love are like the softer in nature, or something that seems like it could be in the wild. We hate anything that's like a pod, anything with an exoskeleton is just like not for us. But everything in this movie is like very cockroach-like or lizard-like or something like that. Even the surgical device, the fact that it looks like a fucking beetle is getting a massage, you know, it's like, I don't know how that works. I don't know what the lights are. The beds that they're in, the one that's meant for an autopsy, it's all very like bony and very like animalistic. Like what the fuck do you think was going on with that? Do you have any idea?
I feel like they were kind of like mankind to maintain has abandoned a sense of beauty. That's just become purely functional no matter how bad it looks. And that's just my takeaway. I don't know if any filmmaker meant that, like if he meant that or anything. Anyone in the production design team, I don't know what they meant, but I feel like mankind just went there for survival And it was like, I'm in pain overnight. I need this thing. This thing looks like this. I have it. Like, I don't care what it fucking looks like. Just stop me hurting.
To piggyback right off of that, and to stop me hurting, of course, they don't feel pain.
That's almost an opioid reference.
And you know what? I'm sure they thought about opioids.
I don't care what it does to me. Just stop me hurting.
I mean, yes, 100%. Ding, ding, ding. I think you just hit it right on the head right there. To piggyback right off of what you said right there, the idea of inner beauty, right? The idea of
oh yeah, that was a quick throwaway. That one
So, for instance, I said the ear dancer guy. So he basically has ears all over his body. He's got like 30 ears, and they're actual real ears. I don't know if they were grown or attached. I don't know, but you see this, and they sew his mouth and his eyes, and there's like this. It's a performance art piece that almost looks like it's in like a rodeo or something, or a coliseum, like a mini in like arena-sized coliseum or something, and with his eyes and mouth closed, I think it's a he. It's androgynous. He starts doing this dance with the ears everywhere. And it's very bizarre, weird dance with voiceover. And honestly, I would say it's actually kind of darkly, strangely beautiful, to use that word, because then Saul is approached by somebody who says, this isn't really good art. It's not very good. The ears don't work. It's kind of weird looking. And Saul's kind of like, yeah, that's right.
That's the cool. The minute they said the ears don't work, I was like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
All right, making the connection. Yeah, so anyway, this idea that what Saul does is more interesting because they cut him open and it's real. They really see what's going on the inside of his body. Even though he's taking these new organs that he's grown and just cutting them out. And they talk about that in the movie. They're like, you're not even keeping them to see how it changes you as a human. The whole point here is evolution. Evolution is the key to survival. And all that really matters is who you are on the inside, what you look like, which I think goes back to the Léa Seydoux and Viggo Mortensen, like the way they look at each other. It's like that is an expression of their inner beauty. So, but like, can you go too far with that? You know, like, we're obviously they are suggesting that our culture right now is too obsessed with outward beauty or you know, what we perceived beauty, but like what's inside counts more. But can we go too far with that? Is this an example of taking that too far? I think that's a pretty interesting conundrum that they bring.
Oh my God, there's so much. You could have a 6-hour discussion on this film. We're not, because like time, but it's there is so much thrown out here. Like, I walked out of this thinking a lot up on the escalator, because if anyone's ever been to the AMC at Times Square, there's a lot of escalators to get out. And I was just typing notes. People are walking past me, like squeezing past me, because it's like a single row escalator. I'm just typing notes. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I gotta think about this. This really made me think about a lot of stuff.
Same. And did you feel in the theater too? Because I did feel, but I was like, I didn't. After I got through the first one or two, the first time they removed his organ, the first public, but yeah, because we didn't really see too much of like the cameras on the inside of him. Remember that they had those little camera things. But the first, so the boy, it was more
eating about their reaction to what was happening.
It took me a second.
They kept it hidden. Yeah, they
did a good job. The boy eating the pail, the suffocation was disturbing for sure. And then the first sorry. I'll just buzz myself for that. The boy eating the no, I already said that. The first public art show where he cuts out the new organ. Those ones were they got me a little queasy, but all the other ones not so much.
I was 100% fine with that. It was like, I thought I was going to I was expecting way worse, to be honest.
Me too.
But even the cutting and everything, it was a case of, they kind of made that a background thing somehow. And I don't know how they did it.
You're right.
I don't know how he got me in the position by that point that this was fine.
Maybe it was Viggo wearing those monastic robes all the time because he was so weak and decrepit. He's wearing these robes.
I think it was fucking good filmmaking, to be honest.
I mean,
he like eased you in and he got you invested in the story. And then by the time we got to the actual surgery part, it was a case of, okay, this is what needs to happen. It was a thing of beauty almost, and it's their art, and you're enjoying their art, and it was just, okay,
gosh,
fair,
man.
fair.
Gosh.
Like,
alarm.
they got me though. Like,
alarm.
that was the thing I was most worried about. And seeing this film was the surgery part of it, and it turned out to be a total non-event because they somehow manipulate your brain into accepting it.
The trailer looks more shocking. I only saw the
It
trailer
does.
once. The trailer looks more shocking. I thought limbs were going to be created. I thought it was going to be really like fucking
Yeah.
bizarre. But this was.
I was expecting some fucked up shit, and what I got
Yeah.
was quite an interesting detective story almost.
I still and we could break down the ending, but I think let's leave it up to everybody's imagination of Viggo.
I mean, you know what? The one thing I'll say about the ending is this is one cut to black away from being The Sopranos. Because it was kind of like, wait, it's over? Which is the
I
thing
was surprised too.
Well, that's the thing you want people to say at the end of your film. So he's done his job.
I thought there was going to be. I thought Kristen Stewart was going to have a surprise storyline where she like steps in, and then there's. I didn't know what to expect.
She sort of did have a surprise storyline. She was the psycho that messed with the kid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they never did find out exactly what he looked like because she fucked with the kid first.
That's right. I don't know how, and we don't know how she got in, but she's government, so that's an implication that they could do that. I thought she was going to go under the knife or something, and then no, that's how it ended. It's man. This is definitely a thinker.
That was a little bit of a misdirect. Yeah, it was definitely a thinker. I mean, I like it for it. I love what he did. A lot of people are going to walk out of this going, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
But you know what? Ask your friends that you saw it with what the fuck just happened and talk about it. And you'll find that, oh my God, I'm talking about this film that I just watched and I kind of like this. Let's all have some beers and hang out and talk out. And that's what film's about.
Ask if you would make out with a skin zipper, because I might for the right person.
Oh, the skin zipper. Oh my God. Okay, that one got me a little bit because that pageant thing was kind of like a little storyline in the middle. And when she did that, it was almost like that one felt me a little bit like he was thinking, oh, I haven't been Cronenberg enough and let's throw some random gore in. Like that was the only thing in the movie that felt cheap to me.
Yeah, I think they wanted what was that guy's name? It's sort of apparently Viggo really wanted to be that other character, which is hilarious because that guy had like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
But I forget what the guy's name is, the other doctor person that he meets, and Viggo lets him cut him open and he puts the skin zipper in. I'm with you on the beauty pageant thing, but it's necessary because it brought it all to all the storylines were supposed to be intersecting there, and they ended up intersecting at the autopsy instead.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we didn't have a beauty pageant because I was like, we don't have time for a beauty pageant, right? So
No.
I'm with you 100% that wasn't necessarily like, I don't know if they nailed that subplot, but it's okay.
Well, that one scene, the subplot itself was fine, but that one scene they didn't nail for me.
I'm with you, but
All right, fine.
But man, a fuckable skin zipper is really an interesting choice.
Damn. And we just recorded Jeff saying that, so yeah.
I'll have to pull that out for TikTok and the socials. So. Dave, I think that's funny.
It sounded like halfway through Rocky Horror. It's like a mental mind fuck can be nice.
That's what this whole movie is. Hey, you know what? A little mind fuck is nice sometimes.
It was actually, it was a bit of a mental mind fuck. I mean, if you're a person who loves your films to make you think, you're probably going to enjoy this.
I think so too. This is really. I'm glad we saw this. I really am, and I hope that David Cronenberg has another 1 or 2 in him before he decides to retire for good.
Yeah.
But
you know what? If he goes out on this one, good for him.
Sure. I'm with you.
This did not suck at all.
This did not suck at all. Well, Dave, just like that, we're getting to the end of our episode. So as I teased at the beginning of this episode, we're going to have a mini-sode to talk about all of the movies you've seen on the plane. What TV
I watched stuff on the plane. Yes.
Yeah. So please stick around for that. We're going to keep that one short, like 10 or 15 minutes. But is there anything that you would like to recommend in our, as always, what you've been watching segment that we like to end these episodes with?
This one's going to come out of left field like a Cronenberg film. I watched Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Okay. And
holy fuck, dude. Only Free Guy, I think, has more references hidden in it than this movie. And they have thought about them. They are fucking clever.
I've been hearing about this a lot. Actually, our friends, I'm wearing their fucking merch. I always forget to shout it out. Matt and Mark, our friends. I'm wearing this shirt.
Wait, how did you get a shirt?
How did I get a shirt? I paid for it, man. I support local artists.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's right. One of them's local now. We should hang out with him.
I tried. He didn't respond for 3 days, but he said he will next time.
He's very busy. He's a
busy.
Lot of work.
He's very busy living with his mother. So
I'm buzzing him for you. no, Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Such a dumb cheap shot.
Dude, I want to tell you, like, there's just some throwaway stuff in the background, and it's not like Space Jam, HBO Max, like throwaway. They walk into a club, and in the background is Paula Abdul and the cat from the 2 Steps Forward video. I'm like, sure. This is fucking clever. And there are more of them. There are hundreds more of them. And also the plot line is not bad. And Eric Bana's doing the Australian guy. They finally got an Australian with an Australian accent. So yeah, I'm on board with it. Like Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Give it a look. You'll crack up. You'll crack up.
I've heard good things. Is this on Disney Plus?
Yes.
I want to say it is, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. This is directed by Akiva Schaffer, who's one of the Lonely Island guys. Which
John
is why
Mulaney's in it.
Yeah, well, he's friends with him from SNL. So Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jorma Tacome is in there. Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons, Rachel Bloom.
Is there anything J.K. Simmons is not doing these days?
Well, it was voiceover, right? So that was yeah. He had fun with that. They have Lumiere's appear. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, I haven't seen it yet, but I've just been hearing Keegan-Michael Key, Flula, Will Arnett. Yeah, fuck.
Ugly Sonic, you name it. They've got everything.
Yes, Ugly Sonic. I showed it to Sonic videos from my students, and they're like, that's Ugly Sonic. And I was like, oh, shit. You guys know this? You're 6.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll recommend one thing, because there's a couple of new things out that I want to talk about in our mini-sode. But if you like Squid Game, I don't know if you knew this, but there was actually a very similar show to Squid Game that is currently on Netflix that came out before Squid Game in 2020 from Japan called Alice in Borderland, which has been renewed for a second season. I don't know when that second season's coming out, but 3
Wasn't
guys.
That a video game?
I want to say yes. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
It probably... It has to be based on the premise.
I mean, if it was, great. 3
guys in Tokyo are running away from the police, kind of similar to the opening of Squid Game, except he's running away from the mob or something. And then all of a sudden, everybody in Tokyo disappears. Everybody's gone. They're hiding in like a bathroom stall, and then everybody's gone.
They're like, oh my God, I can finally catch a train.
And I know, right? Except they never get on a train because... They never get on a train because... instead, they get sucked into these games, which are essentially fights to the survival. Not quite as no, some of them get pretty fucking gruesome. So it's very much like Squid Game.
You just describe the plot of Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, so it's very video game-like, except they do a good job of making it real. And so these people have to fight for their lives in these games that appear. And if you have to do a game every 3 days or you die, and they don't know what the end game is. So this is Alice in Borderland on Netflix.
So they have a PlayStation Plus membership.
How many video game references are you going to make? God damn it. And that's it for what you've been watching. Anyway, Dave, let's keep the episode short since John and you weren't even here, and we've had some of our longest episodes of all time. So
yeah, 2 hours and 40 minutes while I was gone. Holy crap.
Whoops.
I'm like, how the fuck did you talk about Top Gun for 2 hours, or like an hour and 22 minutes?
I actually don't know when I was there, so I'm not sure. Dave, it's a pleasure having you back. Mini-sode, we're going to record now, so we're going to be a little drunk. Can't wait. See y'all soon, film fans.